2024 is almost over, so here's every upcoming movie still releasing this year ranked by how excited I am for them. 13 is Mufasa The Lion King. First of all, a prequel to The Lion King is unnecessary on its own, but at least if it was in the original animation style, I could be somewhat excited about it. But I'm sorry, this CGI quote unquote live action, but it's still obviously animated take on The Lion King is something I just personally do not care for, and this does not look good from the trailers in my opinion. I could not care less about this stupid movie. I hate it. Yeah, that might have been a little bit harsh, but honestly, I don't think it was harsh enough. Number 12 is Wicked, another movie I am honestly not excited for whatsoever. I've never seen the original musical because A, I don't care about it. I'm not the biggest fan of The Wizard of Oz, and this movie is apparently a part one of two, and it's going to be almost 3 hours long, which is pretty much going to be the length of the original musical that it's adapting. Why we need a 3 hour part one, I have no idea. This thing's going to be an absolute dread to get through. Number 11 is Red One, a movie about Santa getting kidnapped by some villain and then people having to go and save him. This looks like a Netflix original in all the worst ways, right down to the fact that we got The Rock and Chris Evans. Listen, I like both of these actors, but their movie selection lately has not been very good. We all know this is just going to be an absolutely stupid movie. I just hope it's at least entertainingly bad so I can have fun with it. I do love J.K. Simmons, and the idea of him as this like buff Santa Claus is at least entertaining, and this polar bear behind him, I don't know what his deal is. He's posted up like Ray Lewis back there. Like I said, this is not going to be good, but I hope it's at least on the entertainingly bad side of things. 10 is Kraven the Hunter. Listen, I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I just don't think he's going to be able to save this movie. Sony has proven they cannot make these solo films outside of pretty much the first Venom movie. Let Them Be Carnage is also kind of a fun film, but I wouldn't call it a good movie. But everything else they've done, like Morbius and Madam Web, has been a complete train wreck, and this looks like it's going to follow in those footsteps. Who knows, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but we got to go based on Sony's track record with these and expect this to not be a good film in pretty much any sense of the way. At number 9, I have Moana 2. Now, everything from this point up is something I'm actually decently excited for on some level, and I do think this looks pretty good. My only real concern about this movie is it was originally going to be a Disney Plus series, and they kind of just transferred it into a movie, so I feel like maybe there's going to be a lot of things cut out, or it's going to kind of feel like something that was literally a TV show, because that's what it was. The first Moana is a very good and enjoyable film, and the story for this one doesn't look bad. The villain we got a new preview of looks kind of interesting, so hopefully they can deliver on a solid sequel here. Number 8 is Sonic 3. You guys know me probably that I'm not the biggest fan of the first two Sonic movies. I don't think they're bad or anything, or I just don't think they're great. They're right perfectly like in the middle of an average film that have a lot of fun moments, and I really love Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman in both of them. I'm super glad he's coming back, but what really has me excited is Shadow in this movie. I think Keanu Reeves is going to be incredible as the voice of him. I'm not going to lie, the action sequences and the visuals look kind of insane from the trailer. Now, this could be a classic bait and switch and the movie ends up looking worse, but I am actually pretty excited for this one, and I think it's going to be the best Sonic film that we've ever got. At number 7 is Venom The Last Dance. Now listen, I know I just trashed Sony and their movies and saying they're pretty bad, but I did say I like the first Venom movie, and I think this is just going to be so utterly ridiculous since they know it's going to be the last solo Venom film that it's going to just be an absolute blast to witness. I mean, come on, we already know that we're going to get a Venom frog and a Venom horse in this movie. If that doesn't tell you everything about the tone of this film, then I don't know what to tell you. I am super excited to just see the goofiness of this film. I know this is really a fool me thrice situation here, but I do think at the post-credit scene we might get a tie-in to the MCU, which I don't think is necessarily going to be a good thing, but it's going to be interesting to see how they connect it, because it does seem like Sony won their battle with Marvel, that they're going to get at least some of their Sony universe into the MCU, whether that's with Tom Hardy's Venom entering the MCU, or just we see Tom Holland getting the symbiote, or maybe Noel, who we know is going to be in this movie from the trailers. This seems like a classic situation where he's not even going to be the villain of Venom 3. He's just the post-credit scene setting up for Spider-Man 4, because that's what the leaks are saying. He's going to be the main villain of the film. So this movie is kind of going to be like a train wreck, honestly. You know it's going to be incredibly goofy and stupid, but it's going to be an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see how they just try to shoehorn all the Spider-Man connections in without being able to put them in this movie. At number 6, we have We Live in a Time. This is kind of a romance film following Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I don't know much about it besides the fact that it's supposed to be absolutely heartbreaking. I'm pretty sure Florence Pugh's character is very sick in this, so I'm sure it's going to be just a tearjerker for sure. It's not like romance films are necessarily my thing, but I can appreciate a good one, and I just love Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I'm not going to lie, if you put these two in any movie, I would watch it and check it out, because it's going to be at least good if these two are in it. They give amazing performances in pretty much every movie. At number 5, I have Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim. This is the anime Lord of the Rings film taking place about 200 years before the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I honestly am super excited for this. I think the art style looks absolutely gorgeous. I just hope the animation can hold up to the standard of how good the actual still frames of this movie look, and I have been a big preacher of, I think, most fantasy projects, things like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Percy Jackson, all of those. Even though I really like the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings movies, I still think every fantasy project would be better translated into an animated medium. So I'm super excited to see how the world comes alive in this. And even though if you watch my other videos lately where I was predicting box offices, I do think this movie's not going to perform well at the box office, but I hope it becomes a sneaky hit and everybody that's a fan of the Lord of the Rings gives this a chance, even though I feel like Lord of the Rings and anime fans don't really cross over. I hope it performs well. And number 4 is A Complete Unknown, which is kind of wild that I have it this high up because I'm not the biggest Bob Dylan fan, but I am a major Timothée Chalamet fan. This guy's performances and his filmography is kind of undefeated at this point, so I have to kind of guess this is going to be good. And if you're wondering, no, I could not find a version of this poster that was in English, so you're going to have to deal with whatever language this text is in, but I do think the trailer for this looks really enjoyable. Like I said, it kind of enticed me as not really a Bob Dylan fan, and Timothée Chalamet looks like he's capturing him pretty perfectly. This is being directed by James Mangold, who is a very hit or miss director in my opinion. Like, he has some absolute bangers, but also some films that I just really don't click with, so hopefully this is going to be one of those awesome films, and it comes out around Christmas time. I think this is going to be a vibe. Number 3, I have Anora. This movie is getting absolutely insane Oscar buzz and everything coming out of the festivals. This is winning all sorts of early awards and seems like it's going to be a front runner for maybe Best Picture and Best Lead Actress for Mikey Madison, who is the star of this film. People are saying it's easily a career best and one of the best performances of the year. It's always dangerous when a movie is getting hyped up to that level, and this movie is definitely not going to be for everyone. If you don't know, it's about this sex worker who pretty much falls in love with this guy that ends up having like ties to the Russian government or something like that. It sounds absolutely wild. People are saying it's really funny though. Anytime a film is getting this insane of buzz, I'm going to be super excited for it. Is it going to be for me? Who knows, but I am excited. At number 2, I have Nosferatu. This is coming from Robert Eggers. It's obviously a remake of the classic Nosferatu, which I'm not going to lie, don't flame me. I'm a fake film buff. I have not seen the original Nosferatu, but I am still excited for this one, and I'll probably watch that one before this releases. Robert Eggers is one of our most interesting new directors. I love his style, although it's definitely another thing that's not for everyone, and it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do with this remake, but I think this is going to be a banger. The visuals just from the trailer look off the charts, and the entire just vibe and ambience of this world looks insane. And I'm not the biggest horror fan out there, but something like this that's obviously a remake of old horror is definitely more my style, and it just looks so well produced and made. And like I said, I love everyone involved in this movie. I think it's truly going to be one of the best of the year. At number 1, I have Gladiator 2. Do we need a sequel to Gladiator? I'm going to be honest, probably not. Am I still insanely excited for it? Yes. Ridley Scott, now he is a real hot or cold director. He puts out some of the best movies ever made and some of the worst you've ever seen, but I think this is going to be one of the best ones he's made. The cast is insane. We have Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington. It just goes on and on. The set pieces look insane. We got like the Colosseum flooded and these ship battles, and it looks like it's just going to be a true modern day epic like only Ridley Scott can make. And we've been seeing a ton of older movies getting legacy sequels now. We got Beetlejuice and Twisters obviously earlier this year. I think Gladiator 2 is going to follow in their footsteps and be even better than them and be an absolute masterpiece. But make sure to let me know in the comments below your top 3 most anticipated movies still releasing throughout the rest of the year, and click below to watch another video on my channel.